What's going on today, guys? The market was kind of weird today, but there's still some stocks. There's always something to talk about in the market. So I have a couple new tickers that I invest in that I haven't shared before, and we're going to go into 6 stocks in this episode. So we're going to cover Joby Aviation, Recursion Pharmaceuticals, RXRX, LAES, SealSQ, IonQ, SoundHound. Oh, and we're going to cover BigBear.ai. So we're going to cover 6 stocks in roughly 20 minutes. I'll do my best to move through those as efficiently as possible. Also, we just hit a crazy milestone on the channel, 5,000 subscribers. Look at this, you guys. There's 5,500-ish subscribers. 723 of you get a notification when I post, which scares me and makes me want to make sure that I'm posting good content that people actually want to see. And most of the watch time is from those who aren't subscribed. So if you aren't subscribed, consider subscribing so you can see more content like this. Mobile phone is where content is viewed the most, and then TV is the second most. I watch most of my YouTube on the TV, and I do mastering and mixing with my audio and editing for the TV. So if you've ever tried on your home audio system, give it a try watching content. At one point when I started this channel not so long ago, this number here, the female number, was 1% or 2%. So us guys were holding it down for quite a while. Some females have found the channel. Welcome to the channel. I'm glad to see the distribution. We can see also that from this 18 to 24 range, still not quite reaching that TikTok, YouTube short generation. The age range here kind of is staggered all the way through 65 and above. And most of the viewers are in the US, with our neighbors up north. I've never actually visited Canada, or actually I've been there one time for one afternoon and it was really beautiful. The UK, 5% from the UK. I do cover some European stocks, so maybe that's how some people found me. Germany and Japan. So Japan is actually, I don't remember seeing Japan in the top geographies before. So hello, I want to visit Japan because it's on one of the top of my list for visiting. Okay, so what happened in the stock market today? So why did I say things were weird? Well, a lot of things were red, first of all. And Google is probably one of the most picked on Mag 7 in the whole stock market. Continues to puzzle me. I continue to buy Google at its current PE, and I think it's so funny that it's trading well below its like December highs after they announced the Google Willow chips. If anything, the company's got stronger. They're making more money. They got through earnings and guidance just fine. So I'm a little confused on Google, but I'll keep buying it until other people figure it out. I think NVIDIA hit an all-time high today, and then there was widespread red through the market. Going to our quantum watch list, there was sell-off in quantum today for sure. It was a little bit of a mixed bag. What happened is we saw some buying and enthusiasm at market open, and then all that tariff stuff just really was shaking investor confidence. And a lot of these stocks are high beta stocks, which means they tend to move aggressively, especially when we go into a risk off type of environment. So if we're talking about tariffs, again, investors are getting tired of hearing the word. I know I'm tired of hearing the word all the time. Even if we have exhaustion, it also makes us feel like, oh, like this isn't the environment I want to be investing in. But despite that, LAES ended the day green. NVIDIA had a great day. Skywater still doing great. And that's the onshore chip manufacturer for D-Wave's quantum chips. And we can see that Arcit sold off a little bit. IonQ had an explosive morning and then ended red. And I'll show you guys that when we do the IonQ chart. D-Wave had a 4.5% sell-off. Not sure what caused that. It's up a little bit in after hours. Let's look at extended hours. So in extended hours, the dip is being bought in D-Wave, and IonQ. Quantum is up after hours, so the dip is being bought a little bit. The main story is that this tariff thing just won't go away. We are told there's lots of deals around the corner, but investors are starting to get to the point where they're like, well, we want to see more of these deals. All we hear about is tariffs and this and that. And it's frustrating. It's honestly annoying. Only 3 months later, he's betting this time is different. So he rolled out tariffs and the financial markets quick. Consumer confidence crashed and his popularity plunged. Only 3 months later, he's betting this time is different. And it does seem a little different. It does seem like this time he can kind of say whatever he wants about tariffs and the market doesn't respond. But I think we're in a very bullish market, and we saw some sell-off yesterday after the holiday weekend. And today what we saw was a very bullish open, and then all of this talk kind of suppressed, especially the high beta stocks. On Tuesday, he told his cabinet that past presidents who hadn't aggressively deployed tariffs were stupid. All right, well, doesn't look like that conversation is over. And I did in the interview with Gene Inger, which that video has over 25,000 views, which is crazy. We just did it that weekend. I brought Gene onto the show for the third time. We did a BigBear.ai and D-Wave interview. And I asked him, are the tariffs going to have an effect on the market? And it does seem like it's affecting the market quite a bit this week, in my opinion. We're going to start with BigBear because I'm sure a lot of you are invested in BigBear and you're worried because today wasn't a green day. And from a technical standpoint with BigBear, what I'm seeing that is a bit of cause for concern is we've actually broken trend. We've actually broken this rising support, and we can go all the way back to late June. We can go back to June 23rd. And this blue line here, this rising support has held. Now that angle or that slope is kind of new. If we look back at sort of this rising support that goes back to the April lows, that is obviously very much intact. But I think a lot of investors are expecting BigBear to just continue indefinitely on that slope, and it might not be realistic. So I'm going to give you guys a couple cases. Okay, so we got to look at the volume candles. Volume still looks really good on BigBear. The problem is that we're seeing a lot of buying enthusiasm at market open and then quick sell-off. So it gets, if we look at extended trading hours and we look at 5 days, we're getting that big pump before the market open. We almost hit $9 and then just sharp sell-off. So it's hard to trust the green at market open. We take a look at the structure of today and we can see this sell-off and we break this rising support. So what is going to happen from here? If we look to the left, which I always recommend you do, is there any precedent? Has BigBear hung around anywhere in this neighborhood before? And we would look here and there's not really a whole lot to reference. 759 isn't an area where BigBear has spent a lot of time, with the exception of maybe that one candle. So the question is BigBear presenting bullish, neutral, or bearish? And right now, what would be the most healthy for the stock is if it started to build some price history. It's moved up very quickly. And if it was able to just kind of stay neutral and people were buying and selling it and it bounced around between $7 and $8, that's the best thing for the stock. If it continues on this trajectory of just straight up, fundamentals will need to support BigBear. They will need to come in with better earnings. They will need to have more deals. The market is not going to tolerate another earnings surprise that's red. The stock will sell down. So just be aware, it's a high beta, high risk stock. A lot of people are very excited about BigBear, but there's still a lot of risk with BigBear. And we do have a little bit of price history kind of here around this 764. So if we can break above this in a bullish case, we could continue moving up to test that 52-week high. Now remember, BigBear also has a 1607, which is a lot further out of reach at the time being. So keep your eye on BigBear. In a bearish case, I would see BigBear selling down and potentially coming down to this rising support, retesting the rising support, and maybe trying to rally again. That would put it around the 4s or the 5s. So that'd be a very bearish case. We'll just have to see. All right, guys, let's take a look at Joby. So Joby Aviation, you guys know by now that I invest in electrical aerial ride sharing companies, and Joby is probably in the lead, but Archer, I'm not play favorites with Joby or Archer. I like them both. I think the concept is amazing. So basically they're drones that can carry humans, that can fly like a Cessna, but also can fly like one of those drones you see flying around in your neighborhood that's making a lot of noise. So they have a 200 mile per hour top speed, 10 years in development, quiet, 1 pilot and 4 riders, and 0 operating emissions. And they're designed for daily life. So what has Joby been doing? Well, lately they had a pretty successful deployment of their aircraft in the UAE. So Joby cements global lead in air taxi industry with Dubai flights and beginning of commercial market readiness work. And you heard Gene this weekend say, Dubai, they have oil, they have money, they have a lot of money, and they're also very forward looking. I have never personally been to Dubai, but if any of you have been to Dubai, I've heard a family member of mine, I was just talking to him, he said, you've got to go to Dubai. You have to go there. It's incredible. The technology is incredible. So those type of markets outside of the US could easily adopt this technology before even the US does. And that's where you kind of have to think about the whole landscape of an industry, especially an emerging industry like air taxis. So if we look at the full chart for Joby today, it had a nice 7% day. And I want to show you guys kind of the all-time chart for Joby. So Joby, going back to 2021, was trading at 1651, wanting to test a 2-year high. It's very close to a 2-year high. It's already blown past its 52-week high. The bullishness is clearly evident in this ticker. And to reach $16 a share doesn't seem so far out of reach. So its first level for Joby to get through is going to be this 1139, which would be kind of that 2 to 3 year high. The next level would be this 1448. And this assumes that we're in a risk on environment and investors have the appetite for taking on the risk of investing in high beta stocks like this. But these would be the levels I would look at for sort of a bullish sort of move up for Joby. So could Joby pass its all-time highs and be a $17, $18, $19, $20 stock? I don't see any reason why not. If there's going to be widespread adoption, we can see that volume is definitely there. So just looking all the way back to April when all the stocks were washed out, this was a $5 stock. It is more than 2x, more than 2x, and it's holding a very, very aggressive upward rising support with the volume to support. And the RSI is a little bit overstretched, but it's looking really good. All right, let's take a look at LAES. So LAES is a quantum cybersecurity play. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, I have been buying. My channel members know because I've been posting my buys. But on Monday, I think I picked up another at least 1,000, maybe up to 2,000 shares in multiple accounts of LAES. And there's a couple of reasons. One is I believe the demand for this type of technology, quantum cybersecurity, SealSQ, people will be lining up around the block sooner rather than later. We can see that at all-time high, this was a $26 stock. After Google Willow and the announcement and the euphoria and frenzy, it popped up to 11. And lately, it's just kind of been slowly walking its way up, validating the rising support, not really as explosive as we've seen. So we're still in a bullish wedge, and that means we're making higher lows and we're making higher highs. However, these are spread out days apart. So we're between this 388 and 424 5. For those of you who followed the channel for a long time, you know that 388, this yellow line, is a critical level for SealSQ, and it is held above 388 for a couple trading days, which is really good. That means that it's starting to want to form a base around $4. This isn't a bank stock. This is a quantum cybersecurity stock. So it's either going to move down really fast or it's going to move up really fast. It's just kind of a matter of time. We've already seen candles like this. I'm not just blowing smoke here. You guys can see how this can move explosively. So could we see something like this? Easily. I think easily, just on just the fact that quantum cybersecurity stocks like BTQ technologies are running like crazy and LAES is relatively flat, we could see a move from LAES any day. Now understand also that the stock was trading under $3. So you need to do your own risk assessment because it could always retrace to former levels. And all of these stocks, especially quantum stocks, carry risk. I see people in the comments on my channel who said, I bought a stock because you said so. I've never told anyone to buy a stock. This is for information and education purposes only. You guys must do your own research. That's so important. Just looking at the charts and listening to me isn't enough. I just need to repeat that so everyone can protect their money. All right, now we're looking at IonQ. So IonQ, I've been calling for a while, is in a very bullish uptrend with lots of validation on the rising support. Now, what's going on lately with IonQ, if we look at the last 6 months, is we've actually had a separation from this rising support, which indicates potential bullish acceleration. However, in the last couple trading days, we've had some pump fakes. And I'm going to tell you what I mean by that. If we look at extended trading hours, we've had pre-market. So this yellow here is pre-market trading. And today we bumped all the way to $48 a share. And just for a couple of minutes at market open, this thing was 48. It was also 48 here. Now, if we step back, we can see that there's a new trend line forming, and there may be an increasingly bullish sentiment in IonQ. Even though the stock was down 0.5% today, you can see that on this $1 billion acquisition news, I'll put the link on the screen, there was a lot of bullish sentiment. I think it's worth repeating that the market was weird today, and a lot of high beta stocks did sell off. There was just a weirdness about it. But that doesn't mean that these stocks in the story isn't intact for quantum stocks. So, all right, so we're a little closer to IonQ in regular trading hours. And one thing to note is we are off of this rising support and we're actually in potentially an accelerated uptrend. So SoundHound is, for those of you who don't know, is a AI best-in-class voice agent. And AI is going to be a rapidly growing field for the next decade, if not longer. It already is changing lives. So it's conversational AI that speaks for itself, driving the next era of artificial intelligence. And in collaboration with NVIDIA, SoundHound AI demonstrates edge solutions that make enhanced voice generative AI experiences possible. So SoundHound today, and I want to show you guys the finances for SoundHound, and this is just a super quick look, but basically we're sweeping up on revenue. And the stock has also kind of followed that trajectory, but there's been an insane like $15 a share plunge from its highs, or at least $10 a share. So the stock has been down a lot, even though revenues are looking pretty good. And if we look at assets and liabilities, they have a lot of assets. They have a lot of cash and equivalents. So SoundHound on paper looks pretty good. And if we look at the last 6 months, they're down in the last 6 months. If we look at the year to date, they're down 40%. Today, they had an 11% day. And we're going to go into the chart. I'm going to show you kind of what the history of the stock. So the stock actually was trading above $20 a share for many trading days. And this was in December of 2024. and then it came down and it found itself above $12. Okay, so we actually ended the day at 1271, which is a pretty critical support. If we just zone this out, 1, 2, 3, I hope that helps you guys kind of visualize this, but we have price history between this 1 and 2. So we are definitely, if I revise this rising support, we're holding a rising support as are many stocks. We got our volume today and we moved into this zone 1. Now there's less price history in zone 2 and even less in zone 3. So what could happen from here for SoundHound? What I'd like to see happen is SoundHound just kind of do something like this and hold above 1271 and give us more price action. I'm not going to be greedy and say it's just going to go to all-time highs, but we do have earnings coming up. Earnings season is right around the corner. We'll see. They were able to come with a revenue surprise. Let's see if they are able to repeat that success. I still hold a lot of shares in SoundHound, and I believe in what they are trying to do. Finally, stock I've never talked about on this channel, Recursion Pharmaceuticals. So I'm not a super big biotech investor, but one thing that attracts me to Recursion is specifically their connection with NVIDIA. And they're using AI to basically research chemicals and drugs to create better medicines through novel insights and precision design. They're using data and AI to bring better medicines to patients faster. And they use data, models, and compute. So I like the tech aspect specifically of this company. And they were at one point a $42 stock in 2021. And this stock has moved all the way down to, it closed today at 536. However, the one day was an 8% gain, and they actually had some news. So Recursion acquired full rights to a potential first-in-class oral ENP1 inhibitor for this word I can't say. But this is kind of maybe the power of AI and technologies. We're going to be able to find potential treatments that we didn't have before. So I've been adding RXRX as kind of a speculative pharmaceutical AI play in my portfolio, and I've had it for a while, and currently it's at $5 a share. If we look back a year, the stock was peaked at $12. That was its 52-week high, and it could be potentially in a bullish reversal. I'm just bringing it up so you guys know that they had that good news, and then it's still an interesting company. They're still connected to NVIDIA. All right, guys, I hope you really enjoyed that. We just did 6 stocks in about 20 minutes, maybe a little bit longer, but I wanted to go into depth. The members only section of the channel has been really fun. If you're interested in becoming a member, come check it out. I'm posting member only videos. We just got the Discord off the ground pretty much today, and there's been a lot of great comments, charts, and a lot of people just sharing kind of their background, and we're building a community. So check the YouTube link. I'll leave it in the comments of the video, and join as a member, and let's kind of try to make some money together. How about that? All right, guys, we'll talk to you soon, and good luck in the market tomorrow.